Welcome back to another market closing live stream, everyone. Welcome. Let's go see what the heck has happened, because the market kind of went a little weird on us, in my opinion. It's odd. I mean, I did a video breaking down my rationale for what the heck is happening, and we talked about this concern actually on Wednesday evening. Hopefully you watched the video. Oh, hold on. There we go. Let's up my volume a little bit. We talked about this concern when I was at an airport late at night on Wednesday, and I talked about this concern about, hey, options and tech. Look, everything seems great, but we've got to be concerned that what happens if we start trading a little bit more sideways. And the last 2 days have been a little, they have been great, which is really interesting because it's the beginning of the second half of the year. And so take a look at some of this pain that we've got here. Well, Lordstown's getting investigated by the Justice Department. So that explains sort of this plummet that we saw today in Lordstown Motors. Lordstown Motors just getting spanked, and it's not a surprise. I mean, think about it. The what is it? The executives. Hold on. There we go. That was Virgin. There we go. The executives at Lordstown Motors dumping all their shares, or like 97% of their shares was what one of the executives was dumping is. Or one of the executives at Lordstown Motors dumped 97% of their shares, or they have like $7,000 of shares worth of shares left. It's ridiculous. And so it's no surprise the Justice Department all of a sudden announced an investigation. And you can see that led volume to go through the roof. I mean, when it was announced, we went from 16,000 shares of volume to 1 million shares to 800,000 to 2.3 million to 1 million to 500K. And it's kind of tapered off here. Anybody who wanted out basically just rushed for the doors. Still seeing elevated volume here. Then we've got Express. Look at momentum. Momentum just getting spanked right now. It's getting, right, is shady. Well, yeah, no kidding. I mean, some of the stuff is kind of shady that's been going on. But yeah, momentum just getting whacked upside the head today. We've got Lordstown Motors, Express, Workhorse, Arcimoto, Ashford, AMC, Didi. All of these have been relative momentum players. Didi mostly just for the beginning part of after it IPO'd, and we kind of started seeing that rotation to the downside. We've got Meta Materials here. This was Torchlight, down to now $6.81. That's the equivalent of about $3.40 at Torchlight. You've got Ocugen rotating down. I mean, all of these momentum plays just getting whacked here. I've regularly said that I thought Lemonade over 110 is a little pricey. Over 100, I'm not even a buyer of Lemonade. Too pricey. Coming down here. You got C3AI basically going back to that $60 support level that we have, which is where I added a little bit to C3AI. That's basically heading right back to that. I'm a little bit more concerned about AMC. And over here, you've got, at AMC, look at this precipitous drop that we had this morning. I mean, substantial sell volume coming in here. And really what happened was, it looks like sort of on a technical analysis basis, is we saw this rotation to the downside. We saw all of a sudden this drop here through our support. And as soon as we got this drop through support, we saw volume really extend for another 5.6 mil here of shares. But this is interesting. This 5-minute chart here is about 7. Let me go in a little bit deeper to sort of understand a little bit more here what precipitated this drop. This almost seems like it feels like a coordinated kind of sell-off, or an institution or somebody all of a sudden dumping. But look at this, folks. You know what? Oh, this could have been algorithmic, folks, and it's crazy. Take a look at this. You've got sitting at support. You break through the support line, which we've drawn as a solid blue line here, which is a pretty solid support line. The moment we broke the support line, take a look what happened. Boom, we get a plummet of 2.2 million orders coming through. It's almost like if we could go within the minute, as soon as we broke that support, we probably saw a bunch of sells trigger. And so we have massive sell volume trigger here as soon as that support was broken. We have been trying to come back to support, but look at this. Our support line is literally serving as resistance now. So moving around, did break through, it hit that resistance line again, did get a breakthrough, which is good. But we are riding this line so hard. The institutions are using this line. I mean, this is this line that we've had here for weeks, for absolute weeks, is showing substantial support and resistance here. So we know there are probably algorithms programmed to this 5085 line, And we're getting insane bounces here off of this line. This is pretty incredible. So we'll see what happens here if we rubber band around this line or what's going on here. But wow, yeah, pretty new intense. All right, so then we've got, let's see, DD 7.1% to the downside. Yeah, momentum really getting beaten up here. Again, wouldn't surprise me if a lot of this is just algorithmic right now. Institutions, we've got Canoe rotating down 3.7%. Redfin's rotating down 3 and a bit here. Fastly's rotating down. Matterport rotating down a bit to 15.54. A lot of temporary pain here in SPACs and momentum. Yeah, here's Churchill Capital, UWMC, more SPACs. Very Good Food Company, Tattooed Chef. These are SPACs. Here's G-Tech Holdings at 50 cents. GameStop down. Etsy's down 1%. Back under 200. Ubiquity down. Now we're getting into a little bit more tech and the DPOs over here. But SPAC momentum really getting beat up. Got DraftKings, Pinterest here. Yeah, a lot of beating happening. American Airlines is even over here. Walt Disney's over here, though these guys are mostly flat, along with Coinbase, which is mostly flat. Now, taking a peek at the Bitcoin chart, we are trading in sort of a range where it does make sense that Coinbase would be a little flat. We're pretty range bound here between our 31,000 and 36,000 level, which I realize is wide. We could probably draw some more support and resistance lines in between here. Might not try to do that right now unless there's one that's super evident, which right now there's really maybe that 32.7. Even that, no, not as great. I mean, almost that 32.7 line is interesting. That's an interesting line, 32.7, very, very interesting. We'll keep an eye on this one. Yeah, okay. So with us being range bound, it's not a surprise that Coinbase is flat right now. Now, I think I saw HUD 8 mining moving to the upside. Yeah, HUD 8 mining taking off again in the day, which is great. We've got Tuscan Holdings, Virgin Galactic. Virgin Galactic just gave up everything. I don't know what happened here, but Virgin Galactic just all of a sudden gave up its glory on news that CEO is heading on to for his first flight. Richard Branson, which obviously big, symbolic, big moment for the company. I'd be nervous, but hey, it's his company, so he knows the product better than us. But anyway, 4.83% is the upside we've got at Virgin right now. That's down substantially from the open. We opened at 53.27. We've lost about $8. That's about a 20-ish% swing here. 18-20% swing. That's a lot. EVgo 3. Okay, EVgo is still holding on, but not strong as they had earlier in the day. Interesting that Apple and Google are moving up. These are the guys keeping the indices up, folks. It's like a flight almost to some degree of safety. Very weird. It's a flight away from momentum, a flight away from SPACs. It's a flight away from risk. It's a flight away from recovery. And folks, it's into the big boys. Look at that. Amazon, Apple, Google. And these guys are carrying the index, which is so weird because it seems like there's always something carrying the index. When tech was in the toilet, recovery was carrying the S&P 500. Now you've got high risk, some of which aren't even in the S&P 500, higher risk stocks selling off, and the big boys are doing well, which had been trading sideways, the Apple, Google, Amazon. Really, really, really interesting. So you've got this very, very interesting rotation happening here in the stock market. It's kind of like there are a bunch of wheels under the sort of chain belt of what is it, the S&P 500, and the belt is just moving up, but you've got all these wheels turning in different directions, or gears turning in different directions underneath it, and that leads to this sort of disproportionate pain or euphoria in certain segments. But very interesting to see Apple. I think Apple's about to have a breakout, actually. Let's see. Where's our line for Apple? We're on a 1 minute. Oh, I think we already broke it. Oh, we did. Broke that 135 line. Interesting. This is very, very nice. Good to know. A rotation into the big boys. I do want to shout out, by the way, folks. I did want to, I do not own any ETFs, but I did want to shout out the actively managed GK. ETF, not sponsored. I've just had Ross on the channel many times. I think he's great. I think he's wonderful. They just launched an actively managed ETF. So, in honor and to celebrate their launching of their ETF, I'm going to swipe up on $10,000 of the GK actively traded ETF. So let me get in here. Boom. Okay. Well, that's a bummer. That was a buzzkill. Webull is not letting me trade it right now. Well, never mind then. Gosh, that was like so anticlimactic. That was ridiculous. Okay. Well, anyway, shout out to Ross Scarborough. I have to figure out which platform is going to support GK for trading. It should be Webull and Robinhood, but maybe they have some kinks to work out over the next week here. So we'll figure that out, and we'll circle back to GK. So Lordstown Motors down about 11.8% at the moment. Workhorse kind of following down with this. It really, and this is something that has been stacking up for a while. And I've mentioned this for a bit here. Oh, $69. Can I look at Apple option next week? Is it a good idea to buy a call and a put at 140? Ooh. Well, thank you for the Canadian $69. It's really amazing. I love the specific amount, 69. Thank you for that. That's awesome. So, yeah. I mean, we'll look at Apple in a moment, but I want to just say we've been talking about this potential rotation out of momentum for a few weeks. This is one of the reason that I sold some covered calls to pick up some credits. I've been monitoring activity. I've been monitoring volume. We have a volume crush here. This has nothing to do with AMC. This has nothing to do with Workhorse specifically. It's just a de-risking away from momentum at the moment is what we're seeing. And specifically, look at Workhorse moving in the same sparkline pattern here as Lordstown. When Lordstown announced they were getting investigated by the Justice Department, Workhorse reacted in the same way. What does that tell you about what people think about Workhorse? Jeez. Now, we're not in Workhorse, but we have traded Workhorse to make some tendies. Now, Apple, look, I don't do weekly calls. I get very nervous about that. It'd be one thing if I was like selling covers. But I have to say, well, let's see here. I want to see the volume. Let's do some volume analysis. Apple's been pretty stable in terms of volume. Regularly per day, somewhere around 90 to, it looks like maybe 110 million. Occasional spikes up to 150, but 80 to 100. Okay, interesting. Pretty stable with the exception of high volume days, which, I mean, that's going back to August. So on the day chart, the last 2 months here have been pretty stable between 50, about 50 and 90, I'd say on average, 50 and 90 in terms of volume. And we're finally breaking out here. This is a very nice trend at Apple, very good. We broke our resistance line at 135. I'm excited about this. It is entirely possible that the big boys, the Apple, Amazon, and Google, could see a push here. We've even got AMD that broke above 89. Now it's been above 89 for a few days here, and today we're up about 1.53%. So very exciting for AMD, but it shows the value of some decent diversification in the portfolio, which I know that's sometimes like a nasty word in stock investing. Diversification is for the ignorant, is the Warren Buffett reference. But really, there's some serious benefits. It's like if you're all in on SPACs, you're in pain. If you're all in on momentum, you're in pain right now. If you've got at least got a balanced portfolio and you've got some Apple, Google, and Amazon, those are doing well today, and they're again carrying the index. Just it's incredible as everything rotates within the index. The big boys are something is always keeping the index up. It is the weirdest. This is going to end up being the year of the index fund. We've been talking about that for a few months now. How it's just absolutely incredible that no matter what the heck is happening in the market, the indices have been doing very well. Now, many people are concerned that that's going to set up for a rollover in the S&P. But for the S&P 500 to roll over, you'd have to assume that all of these sectors at the same time are going to have pain. Very interesting to me. Very, very, very interesting. Thanks, Daniel, for shouting out the campaign. Keep in mind, if you're in California, we got a rally tonight in Fresno. Actually, right after this live stream, I am flying to Fresno After I fly to Fresno, we've got rallies in other locations as well, including Sacramento and San Jose coming up in the next couple days. So check those out at meetkevin.com. All right, what else do we have here? Well, we've kind of, oh yeah, we're going to look at maybe Apple. I mean, let's see what's happened to Apple volatility. Oh my God, well, yeah, the weekly calls have gone through the roof here. So like, let's say if you went for, I mean, it's just, this is not what I would do at all. But if you went for, I don't know, would you say 190s? Is that what you said? 140s. Oh, that's better. Okay, at the money. Gosh, yeah, they're up. Those weekly calls are up triple today. That's where the dangerous thing that you could get into, though. The most dangerous thing is, in my opinion, buying call options after they've already run. That doesn't mean they can't run more. If this rotation holds firm, which it might, yeah, those could be juicy, And I know you're thinking about getting a call and a put. But there's also this risk of a volatility crush. Certainly in your calls. I don't know. It's not something I would do. I mean, I suppose if I were going to play options, if I thought there was going to be a rotation towards these boys, I'd probably go over to like Apple in, I mean, even 90 days out makes me too nervous. Probably the youngest maturity I would get would be like a Jan 2022. I'd get like a 130. It's up 12% today on Apple being up 2%. It's a little kooky. I prefer to wait for Apple to be down like 0.5% or something like that. But if you sincerely think there's going to be a rotation over here, you've got a 69 or 67% chance of profitability at 130. The odds are in your favor. You are paying a $16 premium, so you're paying about 146, which is pretty close to where it is now. It doesn't have to move much for you to make money on it. And again, you have that 67% chance of being in the money when this option expires. This is probably more what I'd be going for. Now, I'm not going to, but let's go to options. Okay, it's not pulling up order entry. I don't know why. There we go. All right, here we go. So you get the 130s. If I bought 10 of them, that'd be 16 grand. 16 grand. I mean, maybe. Here's the thing. Here's the case for what you're saying. Well, specifically the call part. I don't know about the doing your spread. The case for AAPL and some of these big names is really this right here. Look at this sideways tradingness. It's not a horrible idea. It's just not. So it'll be interesting to see if we rotate back into these lines here. But it's straight sideways. Google's been up. Google has not been sideways. Look at that. Google's just been moon. It's been Google's been one of the faves. This is one of the reasons, by the way, the indices are doing so well. So keep that in mind. Anyway, so somebody says they just sold their Apple and they are up 30%. Now you're waiting for the dip. Okay. So my advice: gained your family EIDL grant money that we would have sunk without. Wow. Thank you. And thanks to Lauren also. Well, Southern Grace, thank you so very much for saying that. That's super cool. And I appreciate your $100 donation to the chat. So thank you for that. That's super cool. All right. Now, what do we got here? We are 11 minutes to the close. Let's go see what CNBC is saying here. Let's listen in for a moment. What's Sarah got?
Salesforce, the Dow components that are tech, consumer, discretionary, communication services. But you've also got a rally in healthcare, staples, real estate, industrials, and materials. Yeah. What does this mean for the value trade?
It's the non-cyclicals. It's basically, we don't need the economy to be picking up the pace for these things to work. It's really just equitizing cash. Honestly, it's the incremental dollar. Do I want it to go into Caterpillar, or would I just like to stash it in Microsoft, even though there's nothing new on Microsoft today?
But I guess I'm wondering what economic data will confirm that this is still the way to go.
I think we're in a zone right now where the summertime numbers don't matter as much, because we have to wait till September to know if this is in fact going to be a reacceleration.
We are set for 3 record closes as we stand. Shares of Lordstown Motors and Boeing are both under pressure. Phil LeBeau has the details on both moves for us.
Enter Phil.
Yeah,
Will, we're going to get like demonetized for these horns.
Motors. If you take a look at shares of Lordstown, at one point, this stock was down as much as 12% under pressure. Now you see it's down more than 11%. We have confirmed that the Department of Justice is investigating Lordstown Motors. The Manhattan office of the DOJ is handling the case. Exactly what they are looking at is still unclear. Lordstown issuing a statement today saying Lordstown Motors is committed to cooperating with any regulatory or governmental investigations and inquiries. We look forward to closing this chapter so that our new leadership and entire dedicated team can focus solely on producing the first and best full-size all-electric pickup truck, the Lordstown Endurance. Remember, on March 18th, that is when we did an interview with former Lordstown CEO Steve Burns, and we asked him about the allegations brought forth by a short seller who said, look, these guys don't really have orders, firm orders for the Endurance pickup truck. And Steve Burns confirmed for us on air, well, what we said were orders were really more indications of interest. Again, Lordstown under investigation by the DOJ, and it's already been under investigation by the SEC.
Kind of like he admitted that.
With Boeing. And as you take a look at shares of Boeing today, this is a stock that could have been under a lot more pressure given the events that happened early this morning out in Hawaii, specifically the Coast Guard rescuing 2 pilots after a Boeing 737 cargo plane had to do an emergency landing in the ocean. Correct, in the ocean. It had just taken off at 1:30 in the morning from Honolulu, and you can see it was out when it had some engine trouble. The first engine went out. They had problems with the second engine. This is video early this morning of the pilot, one of the pilots, being brought into the hospital. One pilot is in serious condition. The other pilot is in critical condition. This ended much better than many people feared when the plane radioed in that it was having problems and was going to have to do an emergency landing in the water a couple of miles off the coast of Oahu. Take a look at shares of Boeing one more time, down 1.3% today. Guys, back to you.
Ouch. I did not know that they got injured. That's really sad to hear. Oh, gosh. Well, my heart goes out to them. Let's listen else. What do we got, Sarah?
The biggest drag is IBM. High-profile executive departure. Josh Lipton with the details. Josh.
So, Sarah, this was big, surprising news out of IBM. The company announcing today that President and former Red Hat CEO Jim Whitehurst is stepping down, and the stock trading down on that news. Evercore's Ahmed Daryanani.
Okay, I'm going to pull off this. We're going to go back to the sticks here. Let's see what else we have. All right. So, over here we have Lordstown accelerating its decline after this little bit here on CNBC. Momentum continuing to show pain. Express, Workhorse, Lordstown, Arcimoto, Ashford, literally all of these. Momentum. DD as an IPO, the only thing that props it at the moment is momentum, and that's what's hurting it. Gevo is a momentum play. Ocugen's momentum. AMC's momentum. Blink's back, but has also been a momentum play. Li Auto, probably, I wouldn't necessarily call them momentum. C3AI going right back to where it was. It's basically going back to its line. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. It just retreated to its line. It's very, very interesting. It's actually quite fascinating to see this this shift that we're seeing. Okay, what else we have? Let's see. So then we have Lemonade. Yeah, also sitting at one. Everything kind of rotating down into the close here. Narrow Dimension, EXPI, Build-A-Bear, Tilray, Shift, Playboy, ChargePoint, Redfin, Fastly. Yeah, these guys all to the downside. Not so bad at some of these, but Hut 8 Mining still rocketing. Proterra just took off like a rocket ship. Virgin Galactic still sitting at 4%. Pretty soft relative to where it's at early in the day. Kind of disappointing. And then we have, let's see, Amazon sitting at Amazon, Microsoft, Google. They're doing great. Apple, it's great. AMD, it's making me curious. Let me see. They're talking about IBM. Maybe we can get some more clues here.
We thought there was really going to be a little bit more of a cultural takeover within IBM after the Red Hat deal. Maybe this would be a measure of disappointment. Also, the stock had this great, first of all, this stock on a multiple year basis has had a hard time getting out of its own way, but it had a really nice run recently. And it's been coming off of that. So I wonder if just the conviction is shallow in the story, even though things seem to be moving in the right direction. Of course, they have this spinoff coming, which might clarify some things, too, about the underlying value.
Is the name of the new company.
Share price reaction kind of as if they were pivoting back to old IBM. But under Krishna, it's
old
unlikely to be the
IBM.
case despite that departure. Either way, IBM down 4.7%. China announcing a cybersecurity probe of newly public company Didi, sending its shares lower earlier today. The move comes just 2 days after the Chinese ride-sharing company debuted on the New York Stock.
See, that bothers me about China. People are regularly like, what about Alibaba? What about Alibaba? This is like what they'll sometimes do to you. And it just feels wrong. It's like, seriously, we just IPO'd. And now after the IPO, you're going to kind of like pull out the rug from under us. I don't know. It's kind of like, sometimes it feels spiteful. Like there's literally like spite. Like, yeah. Go ahead. Go list on the public market. Go for it. And then right after, it's like, oh, you're public now. Well, now we're gonna investigate you. It's like, wait a minute, come on. That doesn't, like, that sounds like something California would do. That sounds like something Gavin Newsom would do, where it's just like, it's like a Gavin Newsom policy where it's like, oh yeah, we'll get you that permit approval. Don't worry. Oh, you want to go ahead and start fixing that over there to make it a little safer? Sure, go for it. 2 weeks later, here's your $2,000 fine for working on the property, even though you were just making it safer because, well, we told you it was okay for you to make it safer while we work on your permit. Oh, well, why does that sound like such a weirdly personal example? I have no idea. Or maybe I do. Let's go back. Okay, so... well, at least Didi's rotating slightly a bit here, which is nice to see. You've got, oh my gosh, you've got Clover, Hyliion, AMC, Lemonade, Root. Yeah, you've got definitely it's a red day for a lot of positions here. How is our BTC doing? As we've got about 2 minutes left to head into the close here. So Bitcoin back down a little bit here, 33.2. It's almost like stuck. Yeah, okay, it's interesting here. Almost feels stuck. Huh. All right, let's listen back into CNBC here. What they got?
Yields lower. This is a reaction, of course, to the jobs report. Better on the headline, but take it apart and it doesn't look good enough to get the Fed moving.
And also inflation expectations stay in check. And that is definitely taking some of what the bond market was maybe clenching up about earlier in the week when you had the 3 and 5 and 7 year yields rising more than anything. So yeah, it looks like a little bit of a slowdown feel, but take a look at the breadth. This has been a little bit of a conspicuous issue. Yesterday was great, very broad rally. Today, it's pulled ahead in terms of advancers over decliners, but just barely. And most of the day, it was sort of backsliding. So it's not necessarily the most democratic rally, but it's working on the index level. Take a look at the quality ETF. So this would be financially sturdy.
Did he just say democratic rally? I haven't heard that one before.
Steady companies versus high beta, which obviously are much more cyclical and volatile. Over 2 days, you've seen a little bit of a migration toward the quality area. Sarah, you mentioned healthcare, a leading performer today. That also syncs up pretty well with this appetite for quality and sustainable earnings as opposed to mega earnings growth. The volatility index has dipped below 15. Actually, it was in the low 14s earlier. There's some thought that when it breaks to new lows, you get these systematic traders that queue off of the volatility level. It might raise equity exposure. That's one after effect of it, but also tons of call buying by retail investors still keep some support in there.
Don't do it. My opinion is not the time to buy calls.
We stand just off the level for the Dow, needing a couple of points. Just slipped moments ago. We were there
back up.
Last time I looked. We are back there for a trifecta.
Not financial advice.
For the last 40 seconds, we definitely are going to have a record close for the S&P 500 and for the Nasdaq Composite, both of which are up about 0.7% and up close to 2% for the week as a whole.
All right, back to not being able to hear a word. We do well. Hey, look at the closing here on AMC. Check it out. Look at that move on AMC. Getting back over that support line to finish strong. Love seeing that strong finish. That is awesome. There you go.
As the bell goes here on the New York Stock Exchange floor, the Dow is just shy by a handful of points of a record close.
Okay, Dow is up 0.42%, record close. S&P 500 up 0.76, NASDAQ up 0.81, Russell value down 1.01%. Not a surprise. Watch the video that I posted earlier on what the heck is going on, in my opinion. Like, what's this rotation that's going on that we're feeling? It's pretty bizarre. Sorry, I'm going to put my face there instead of Sarah's face. But yeah, watch that video from earlier. Very, very interesting. I have got to go to my rallies. So I've got to go to Fresno. I got a flight in an hour. So I'm flying out of here. Follow me on Instagram if you want to see my traveling at Meet Kevin. And we're almost done catching up with all the emails for those of you who signed up for the courses but needed a little bit of clarity. I think we've actually gotten responses out to everybody, so that's good. We're going to keep progressing there. So super exciting. Thank you to the many of you who joined in the last few days. I do need to get back to y'all with another course member live stream, and I will circle back to you soon. So thank you so much for joining, and folks, we'll see y'all on the next one. Bye.